This is Scorched Earth, where someone looked at the island and said, you know what, that's too easy. Let's add dehydration and killer bug. It is set in a desert biome. This expansion throws you into a sun-scorched wasteland where water is rarer than a friendly giga. You battle extreme heat, sandstorms that feel like Mother Nature, well, might be rage quitting. The electrical storms that fry our electronics. New creatures on this map include wyverns, aka flying dragons that want to kill you and turn you into a barbecue, rock elementals, rocks that want to punch you. And this, well, this is the 100-day challenge that Clark is going to be attempting. You might be wondering, what are the rules to this 100-day challenge? Very straightforward. Play the game, beat the boss. This is our first 100-day challenge on the channel, and so I don't want to make it too hard on ourselves. Or should I say Clark. Meet Clark is a 30-year-old American who has a big old belly that jiggles every time he laughs. But one day he did see someone doing the 100-day challenge, and he's like, you know what? I can do that. If he can do it, I can do it. And he also tells everybody he's just bulking. That's why he's so big. Anyway, guys, this is the story of Clark and the 100-day challenge on Scorched Earth. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Day 1. Clark wakes up in the desert, doing the normal thing that every other survivor does, itching his wrist and looking around. Clark begins picking up fiber because he knows he's going to need it in order to build some cloth. He then begins hitting some wood with his fist because that's how you get wood and thatch in the beginning of Ark. Crafted up a pick and leveling up a bit. Decided to get the stone and the spear and the campfire, cloth, all that normal stuff researched. Clark is experiencing his first heat wave, well, small heat wave. As Clark was walking around, he heard his very first Jerboa. So he did what everybody does. You punch it until it's your friend. And just like that, he went night-night. Time to feed him some berries. And just like that, Clark had his first Jerboa. Clark about ran into some raptors, quickly retreated and ran away. Oh, those are raptors. He decided he's going to make his way down into the valley towards the river. We're going to make our way down towards the river, down in the valley. Clark came to a cliff. He thought he can parkour it. Did not go as he planned. Well, that was dumb. He ended up finding a water jug bug, which actually saved his life, so he did not die. Clark went ahead and leveled up twice, and he decided to unlock some more engrams. He got the cloth hat, thatch foundation, thatch wall, thatch ceiling, and the box. At this point, Clark knew he had to start hunting, and his first victim was probably going to be a little Jerboa. After killing the Jerboa, there was a little baby, so he decided to claim it. Aw, you're cute. Clark ended up finding a water vein. We found a water vein. Sweet, we're gonna build a base right here. So Clark quickly made a thatch foundation and placed it down on the ground. He also ended up learning the bed, so he had a respawn point. Fiber thatch. Ooh, I think we have all that. He quickly got to work to gather materials in order to build his new bed. It's starting to get dark and he knows he's gonna need a fire to stay warm. Clark then places the bed down on the thatch foundation. He continues to farm materials so he can finish his building. Being late in the desert, he can't go too far from the fire, otherwise he'll freeze to death, so he just tries to stick around base. Clark is continuing his base build and he might be done with it. And he got himself a tiny little base. He ends up researching the bola, the bow, some arrows, all because he can't really leave the side of the fire. He also gets some narcotics researched, but he ran out of points so he can't get the mortar pestle. And that will take Clark into day 2. He began his day by farming up some material because he was not done building quite yet. He ends up finishing building the top of his base and now it's all closed in. Clark then places the box inside the base. It's a small base, but he makes it work. After a good 5-10 minutes of trying to figure out how the buttons all work, he calls it quits. He then sets his eyes on making a mortar pestle and looks at the material he needs to get it. Clark then hunts some more Jerboas. I feel so bad. Little did he know, he's about to be the hunted. Raptor. No, whoa, no, 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 no. Oh, shit! He's after me! No, he's not. He's after the Morellatops. Come on, boys. Get him, nature! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Morellatops end up killing that raptor and saving Clark's life. He outwitted the raptor. And he got some free hide and free meat out of it. Clark goes back to gathering up some materials so he can continue trying to make that mortar and pestle before he got rudely interrupted. He ends up having all the material he needs. He builds a mortar pestle. We are crafting the mortar pestle, baby! He then plops it down right in the base. Clark was then blessed by the desert. Oh yeah! Clark then upgrades his weaponry. He ends up building the bow, getting a bola, and he wants some arrows as well. From this point, not a whole lot of exciting things happening, just a whole lot of farming. Clark ends up building some clay, knowing that he's going to eventually need an adobe hut. He then realizes he needs a lot more cactus, so he's outside picking a cactus sap while his Jerboa is yelling at him to get inside. Clark ends up building the adobe foundation, looking at the walls and looking at the ceilings, wondering, can I build these? So he goes and builds as many as he can, but he has to do more farming. Clark then puts down the final wall of adobe and the adobe door. He thought he was done, but he's not. Adobe hut finished. Or no, we still need to do the ceiling. Clark's gonna finish this day by gathering more sand and trying to finish his hut. And this will take us into day 3. Oh, guys, I messed up. I forgot to hit record. I'll show you what happened, okay? As of right now, we're hunting. We're trying to get some hide. We're getting some food. And another thing I've noticed is the levels are messed up. Like, I haven't seen any high levels, and I don't know if it's just because I'm in the starting area, but I want to check the settings to make sure that's not the case. However, I found out baby Morellatops was walking around motherless, so I adopted him. Clark then builds the saddle for the Morellatops. The heat must be getting to Clark because he's starting to get annoyed with his Jerboa. I really wish it'd stop purring in my ear though. I heard him the first like 4 bajillion times. He is now officially riding his first Morellatops' first big tame. Even though he kind of stole a baby, it's still his first tame. If anything, this is a good berry gatherer for us. Clark ends up seeing a supply drop, so he decides to stop to check it out. He continues to mow the desert because, well, it's the desert and he needs berries. He then decides to use all the thatch stuff that he got out of the drop to expand his base a little bit. Clark realizes he is burning up, so he checks his health and he is dying, even inside of his adobe hut. So he sits there, waiting for the inevitable. Still dying in here. And there it is, folks. Clark's first death. So he spawns back in on his bed and he grabs all of his stuff and goes about his day. And then he decides, you know what, I'm gonna harvest that fat guy on the ground, which was himself. After he expands the base, he decides to move his forge a little bit, but if you look at the bottom right, he's slowly dying still. At this point, he's getting a bit frustrated. So he spawns back in, right back on his base, to give it another go. He set out to try to find some of those little flowers that have silk, but with no luck. I can't go far because I'm being killed by this heat wave. Clark then decides to split all the meat inside of his inventory, that way it spoils faster so he can start building more narcotic. He then just decides to take the Morellatops out again and gather more narco berries, and that's how he's going to end up finishing day 3. As the night went on, Clark kept farming berries and moving along while the weather was cool. After he farmed up all kinds of narco berries, he went ahead and started crafting a bunch of narcotic. Clark then again began the process of splitting all the meat in order to get more spoiled meat in order to make more narcotic. As he was wandering around, he found another baby Morellatops with no mother, so he went ahead and tamed it. Clark then began to make trank arrows to try to get a raptor because he's just tired of running around with his big old belly. He had also made a second bow, that way he had one strictly for damage and the other one is for knocking out another tame. So he set out with the hopes of finding himself a decent level raptor. He ended up finding a group of 3 raptors and yeah, there was a baby with the pack. Oh, there's a baby. He He then attempted to hit a raptor in order to lure one at a time, but that doesn't go as planned. He was able to get one, he was able to get the second, the third one was able to hit him. He missed his first bola, he got the second. Now, he doesn't know whether to kill him or tame him because he does not have a spyglass. But his thought process was, well, there's the mom, there's the baby, I want the baby. At this point, he fucked up. Clark died. Oh, Clark, you were murdered. Clark was attempting to get his old stuff back, but the raptor is just kind of hovering over his bag. He goes in to get his stuff thinking he has a window. He was wrong. Oh my gosh, there's more raptors. Clark thought he had all the raptors distracted on the Doedicurus. One decided to turn around and scare the shit out of him. At this point, he was trying to get the Merlotops to attack the raptor. It didn't work. He's back at his old bag, trying to get his stuff back, but he's a little bit worried about this raptor still attacking the Merlotops. He notices the Merlotops actually killed the raptor. And as a true American would, he reaps the benefit of the other people's work. Clark found another raptor by itself, so he decides, hey, I'm gonna try to take this one out. So he bullet it, and he takes it out. And that's another raptor down. Clark found another raptor, and he has a bola, so he is ready. He doesn't know what level it is. Clark realizes that's a 115 raptor. He's gonna try to take it out. It broke free from the bola, but he takes one good lucky shot. Got him. And she goes down. He got himself a 115 raptor. Ooh, boys, we got a level 115 raptor? Right now, Clark is feeling the American blood flowing through his veins, and he's feeling mighty confident. So he goes for another raptor. He gets it bolted, and it's a low level, so it's an easy kill. Now he's taking on a scorpion. Again, easy kill. And just like that, he has another kill under his belt. Now he's got some chitin as well. This proved to be very beneficial with a metal hatchet, new armor, and a treasure map. So definitely worth the kill. Oh yeah. Clark runs back to his base. He decides, hey, I'm gonna make some more narcotic. He then finally learns a raptor saddle since he has a high level one being tamed. He then, well, he ends up dying from the heat. With the heat wave going on outside and Clark not having any desert armor, he's kind of stuck with inside the adobe hut. And then the Merlotops, they decide they want to be one, but we don't let that stand. But my dino is stuck inside the other one. So he whistles them to follow, and it tends to get them unstuck from each other. Even during the heat wave, Clark decides to go check the raptor. And with that, the raptor is now tamed, and he also was able to claim the baby. So with that, Clark has two raptors. Heck yeah, we got both raptors. We got the mama and we got the baby, both level 115. He quickly gets them back to base. That way they are safe. Man, I'm gonna die again. Oh, she ate my body. Clark is sitting inside his hut, just trying to craft things, trying to get XP, because there's still a heat wave going on and he dies every 5 seconds. And he dies again. At this point, he's getting very frustrated with the weather. He then decides he needs to go hunting. He needs to do something. He can't just sit in the hut. And with that, that'll lead us into day 5. Day 5 starts out with a hot heat wave and heat exhaustion, so Clark decides to sit around base and do what he can. Clark ends up dying again. He then decides he's going to set out with his 2 new raptors and level them up a bit. After murdering some parasaurs, he found a baby parasaur, so he decided to make it his own. Oh, we got a new baby. Clark ran up on a parasaur being attacked by a raptor, and he thought the parasaur might win. He was going to try to help, but right when he got the bow, it was too late. Missing his bola throw, he tries again. This time being successful, the raptors finished the job. As you can tell, this murdering spree went on for a while. After a slow walk back to the base, Clark finally got everybody home. He then sets out to gather some fiber because why? Well, he wants that raptor saddle built. He got the raptor saddle built and equipped it to his strongest raptor. He tried with 2 raptors to see if he can get a pack bonus. Which he does. He's feeling a lot more confident now. Clark then breeds the 2 raptors together, getting his first egg. There's an egg. He then laid the egg on the ground to see if it can actually hatch. Nope, it's dying. Clark then sets out to find some metal. After he runs around the mountain for a little while, he decides maybe we should go up the mountain. After he sees a ton of scorpions, he pauses. Oh my gosh. That is a lot of scorpions. As he about gets jumped by all the scorpions and sabers, he decides, maybe I should get out of here. Alright, we're getting out of here, bye-bye. He then sets out to go on a different mountain, hoping to find some crystal or some metal. He thought he found a blue drop that he was going to hit. He got trolled. Aw, it's all the way down there. As he is running up this mountainside, he runs into an unexpected friend. Oh, shit. Then decides to dip. Clark then finds an explorer note. This gave his raptor 5 levels. As Clark ran up the other side of the mountain, he found an unexpected thing. Hey, a moth. As Clark's moving around the top of the mountain, he found no metal. You're kidding me, there's no metal up here? As he was trying to go down, a scorpion got brave and tried to attack him. And then he had 2 more buddies come in. And then another buddy. One by one, they all fell. And just like that, he was victorious. Clark then decides he's going to take out this moth. He knows if he harvests this moth, he's going to get a lot of silk. We harvested all of its silk. If you are enjoying this episode, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot and it lets me know that you guys want more of these. That being said, back to the episode. As he was running around, Clark seen a very weird thing on the map. Look at all these jug bugs. Oh my god. At this point, he's going to make his way towards Red Ob in the hopes of finding some metal. And that, well, that's going to bring us to the end of this day. He starts day 6, setting out for Red Ob to try to find some metal. Clark finally runs up on some metal nodes and he gets excited. Is that metal? He gathered metal until his pick broke. He then puts all the raw metal inside the forge. We finally got metal smelting. He then builds himself a smithy. Moving up in the world, Clark then decides to put it down outside by his forge. Building himself a metal pick. He then builds himself a crossbow and he's pretty excited about it. And we got ourselves a crossbow. He then decides he wants to learn the desert armor. Clark then built himself some pants, he built some gloves, and he built some shoes. Clark officially has some desert shoes, desert shorts, and some desert gloves, but he's still rocking that big old belly. He needed to get some hide, so after some quick hunting, he took out some jerboas and he took out some parasaurs. We don't know if this is a glitch, but if you pounce a jerboa with a raptor, you get over 100 hide if you kill it. With all the farming being done, Clark built himself a desert shirt. With that shirt being built, he gives himself a pep talk. That a boy, Clark. He then builds himself a whip because he knows that's going to help him gather more silica pearl. Clark is now setting out again. He wants to find some crystal. He has not even built himself a spyglass yet. He starts running up in this valley on this hilltop, and he doesn't know what vultures do just yet, but he'll find out. As he was attacking some scorpions and a saber, this vulture started messing with him, not knowing it was hitting the person and not the tame. And with that, well, he died. He spawned back in, he grabbed his old humpback, and he's going to make his way towards his raptor. He ends up ditching the Morella tops. He thought, well, I should run by foot because it'll be faster. Then he realizes, oh yeah, the desert is very unforgiving and he is dehydrated. Eating cactus sap, he barely made it back to his raptor. He grabbed his stuff and realized his jerboa wasn't dead, but it was asleep. But he was dying at a rapid rate, so he got on his raptor and he ran out as fast as he could. As he was running, he thought he was home free. Nope, Microraptor. So after spawning back in, he made his way all the way back to his raptor, hopped on, and didn't look back. First, he did grab his dead body and all of his stuff. Clark runs up back into the valley, hoping to find the jerboa still alive, but it was infested with a bunch of scorpions. He grabbed his Morellatops and they headed back to the house, made it home safely. The only person they lost, well, was the Jerboa. He finished out day 6 by just kind of repairing his armor and cleaning up inventory. Clark ends up changing his plans. He wants to go get himself a Lymantria, or a moth, whatever you want to call it. So he starts off by crafting up some trank arrows, and the reason why he's wanting to get this moth is so he can go get some crystal, and it's nice to have a flyer, even if it is a moth. He ends up finding a 145. So Clark ends up bowling it, thinking, I might be able to get this thing, so he gives it a shot. Pumping arrows into it, it broke free from the bullet and it flew off. Clark hops on his raptor thinking maybe I can keep up with it and maybe I can get a lucky shot in the air. He does end up landing a good shot, but from this point on, he misses every single one. He thinks to himself, maybe I can re-bowl it. He ends up missing again. He ends up finding another one, but it's only a level 15. That ain't good enough for him. Clark ends up going back to base, that way he can make more trank arrows. When Clark goes back out, he finds another one. It's at level 90, so he's thinking, maybe that's not too high. He tries to bowl it before it flies away, but he missed a shot. This moth also flies away. You gotta be kidding me, dude. He finds another moth, it's a level 45, and he's like, man, 3rd time's a charm, right? So he starts shooting it in the face with some trank arrows. This moth also breaks free. However, Clark pulls off a good shot. We got him! With the moth being down, he starts collecting some berries, that way he can tame it. As the moth is taming, he decides, you know what? I'm going to start harvesting some hide, that way I can build the saddle. He ends up getting into a fight with another raptor that was a level 130. He ends up finding a baby Jerboa and he claims it since he lost his other one. He found a second baby Jerboa and he also claimed that one. He then heads back up to the moth in order to feed it so he can start the taming process. Clark was out and about, another sandstorm happened, and he has no tent, but he is getting properly annoyed with all these sandstorms. While sitting in the base, he did have enough material in order to build the moth saddle. Now that the sandstorm was over, he went and got his moth. Clark is officially flying. He is now on his very first moth. He got the moth back to his base, and he was getting ready to go on another adventure. So Clark set out in the nighttime while it was cool to go find some crystal. First place he went, to those big old pillars. However, these moths have terrible stamina, so he had to keep stopping along the way. He found some crystal, and he started harvesting it up. On his way back, he found a drop. He decided to check it, and it was a whole lot of salt. He then began to fly back towards the base, and that's how he is going to end this day. He begins day 8 thinking he can build the helmet. Well, he's missed the silica pearls. He does finally build himself a spyglass. Clark then made his way out to the Red Ob in order to get some silica pearl. He then lands and waits a few minutes to see if anything might attack him. Thinking the coast is clear, he pulls out his whip and starts whipping up all the silica pearl. He decides that's enough silica pearl for right now. That'll be plenty of silica pearl for now. As he was flying back towards his base, he decided to check the mountaintops and he found a ton of metal up there. He loads up the moth as heavy as it can go and flies back towards base. He then finally builds himself his helmet. After he farmed up all the material, he finally builds himself a tent. He also does a little bit of mowing around the house, that way he can get some more narco berries. Since Clark used all of his narcotic in order to get a moth, he starts crafting up a whole bunch more. Clark has officially got all of his desert armor. He then begins to start to farm in order to build himself a small trap, because the next thing he's going for is an Argentavis. As he was farming, a few raptors decided to come up and start a gang war. He ends up losing pretty bad though. And just like that, the family took care of itself. He then went back to farming up more material because he was not done building that trap yet. He finishes out this day by actually finishing the entire trap build, and now he just has to test to see if the moth can fit in it. The start of day 9, Clark started gathering all of his materials that he's going to need to go get an RG and repairing all tools that need to be repaired. Clark then tests the trap to see if the moth can fit through the door, which it can, so this trap will work great for the Argentavis. And with that trap working, he picked it up and now he is on his way trying to find an Argentavis. First one he finds is not a good enough level. He finds a level 30 Argentavis. He's not having much luck. They're all pretty low level, but he keeps looking. And then he finds a level 80, and that's the one he's going to go for. And that's the last piece put on for the trap, and now he's ready to go kite the Argentavis inside the trap. First, he places down some sleeping bags. He has some trouble finding the Argentavis that he found earlier. He ends up finding the Argentavis. It was down in the bushes fighting some animals. He gets its attention, and he starts luring it its way up. His first attempt to get the Argentavis in the trap worked good, but he got too far away, so de-aggroed and flew away. The second time around went way smoother. He parked closer to keep it aggroed, closed the doors, and now that Argentavis is entrapped. From here, he just starts, well, knocking it out. Argentavis is down, and now he knows he just needs to go get Prime. At this point, he's trying to figure out how he's going to get Prime. On his way back to the base, he found a drop, and he decided he's going to hit that real quick. It was terrible. He ended up grabbing the raptor, and he went hunting. He ended up killing a baby ankylo, and he got a lot of Prime. Ooh-wee, 38 Prime. He decides he's going to start running up the mountain to kill scorpions in order to get material in order to build the Argentavis saddle. But then he realizes something really important. Actually, I don't know if I'm high enough level. And then he realizes his worst fear. At this point, he decides he's going to start murdering everything up in this valley for XP. He ends up accidentally finding an explorer note, which is great since he's trying to level up right now. In the middle of him hunting and trying to level up, there's a sandstorm, so he has to stop what he's doing and go sit in the tent. And this sandstorm's going to go on all night, and that's going to run us into the end of this day. Beginning at day 10, Clark is going up into the valley that he died in earlier in the hopes of finding a bunch of scorpions, that way he can get more chitin in order to finish building this Argentavis saddle. However, as he was heading towards the valley, he heard a bunch of insects coming at him, and he went and murdered them. He then took out a thorny dragon as well. As he was looking at the baby thorny dragons that he was going to adopt, the Anky decided to hit him, so he took him out. Then he got a baby Ankylo as well. And then he got himself a baby thorny dragon. And him getting 2 free tames, this is his response. Well, I guess we got a thorny dragon and a damn Anky by accident. He then realizes he got a level. He goes up and levels up. Hey, and we're level 62. Then he goes ahead and buys his Argentavis saddle. He then begins a slow journey to bring the babies back to the base and trying to keep them alive. However, Clark forgot how slow Ankylos really are. Damn, that Anky's gonna take 4 bajillion years to get for how slow Ankylos are. And this is his reply to the dino being too slow. If he makes it, he makes it. If he don't, he don't. On his way back to the base, he gets in a fight with an Argentavis blocking his way. Eventually, the Argentavis falls. He ends up getting all the tames back to the base except the Ankylo. At this point, he's able to make the Argentavis saddle. With him having Prime and the Argentavis being starved out, he makes his way towards him, or her. He grabs all the Prime, and he'll put it in the inventory, and it doesn't take long for the Argentavis to tame. And just like that, Clark has his first Argentavis. As he got home, the Argentavis is still up there flying around, so he takes his new Argentavis and attacks this one. This fight takes forever. It's a slow battle. However, he eventually gets the kill, gets the meat, and he protected his house, home, place. At this point, he's just cleaning up everybody's inventory, that way everything stays organized. He starts doing his daily mowing, or weekly mow, whatever you want to call it. He ends up placing a ladder because he's tired of trying to jump up on top of the ceiling. As he was leaving to go find the Anky to maybe it was still alive, there was a vulture above his base, so he had to take care of the vulture now. After a long and slow battle, he finally kills the vulture. He tried finding him on the tracker, but he couldn't find him, and this is his response. Pretty sure that guy died. He then decides he's going to tame one of the Ankylos near his base, but first he needs to take care of one, because if you attack one, they're both going to attack him. With the other one being taken care of, he begins tranking the second Ankylo. The Ankylo ends up getting stuck on the raptor, and it takes one more shot, and he goes down. And there he goes! He's sleepy. So you don't have to see all of the engrams being unlocked, just know that I went through and got everything that was important to our current level. At this point, he has enough material, he now builds the Ankylo saddle. He then starts prepping, getting more trank arrows for the next tame. The Ankylo finished taming, he's awake. He ended up put the saddle on, and now he's ready to go get metal for Clark. And that's going to take us to the end of this day of day 10. Clark set out to go get himself his first Doedicurus, but first he had to take care of this raptor that was harassing his base. After he helped save a parasaur, the parasaur decided to attack him, so he had to kill it. He found himself his first Doedicurus, but it was only at level 20, so he had to keep looking. Then he found a level 35, which was also not good enough. Clark then decided to hit this yellow drop. It was terrible. He then ran across a level 130 Doedicurus. He then picked it with his Argentavis to bring it back to the base, that way he can tame it without worrying about anything else. After a long and boring flight, he finally made it back to base. Clark then began putting trank arrows inside this Doedicurus' face, that way he could be a new friend. Then the Doedicurus started to run away. Clark was thinking maybe it was Torpor running. Then out of nowhere, the little guy turned back around to attack him, so he decided to take him back to base. And after 4 bajillion shots later, the thing finally went down with one good arrow to the head. He then began to get more Mejo berries, that way he can start taming this Doedicurus. Future Normie here. I wanted to let you guys know I did download a mod, that way I can use these Dino Balls, which is the same thing as a Cryopod, but I didn't like the new Cryopod system, so I went ahead and got this. I do not abuse it a whole lot, but I did download a mod. Clark then did begin his taming process on the Doedicurus, and he's just going to let it sit and passive tame. While we were waiting for the Doedicurus to tame, Clark decides he's just going to clean up his base a little bit, get things organized, and maybe move things around. He did end up building a second forge. He then sits inside his base because it's way too hot to do anything outside, and he's slowly dying, and he's trying not to die anymore. While Clark was inside his base, a wild raptor decided to come up and start attacking his Doedicurus, so he had to be, well, the Doedicurus' hero. He's then sitting back in his base because he about died just going out and saving his Doedicurus. After sitting in the base for about 5 or 10 minutes to heal up, he decides to go out to the smithy table and he builds himself a Doedicurus saddle. That way he can start collecting sand and stone. He then decides he's going to go collect metal with his new Ankylo to feed his metal addiction. While he was trying to harvest, it was not auto-harvesting and he didn't know why. As he was trying to figure out the settings for the Ankylo, this happened. He was able to whistle his Argentavis passive and then ask it to follow him so he can try to jump on it. Being successful, he then started to attack this Argentavis. After a very long and slow boring battle, he finally got it. He then decided he's going to attack every Argentavis near him, that way it doesn't bother him anymore. After not being able to figure out the auto harvest settings, he decides to do it himself. After landing, he's seen 2 more Argentavises near him. He decided to attack them to kite them away, that way they don't bother him. And then begins his metal harvesting addiction. He then picks up his Ankylo and starts heading back towards base, that way he can start getting all that metal smelted. And that's going to bring us to the end of day 11. Beginning at day 12, Clark made it back to base, and he starts unloading all his metal. He then gets all of his metal loaded. It's quite a bit. He then looks to see what he needs to build a fabricator. In the middle of gathering up a bunch of flint, he accidentally hit another Ankylo. Eventually, the whole family came in and took out this Ankylo, including the moth. At this point, Clark goes ahead and builds a few Dino Balls. He then starts to put his dinos inside the Dino Ball, that way they are not taking up so much space. He then grabs a Doedicurus and gets the roly-poly back to base. He then begins to build a lot of clay so he can build more adobe. Clark then builds another mortar pestle. He then places them both down inside the base. After organizing all his mortar pestles, he then begins to build some spark powder. He goes out to collect more sand with the Doedicurus. Clark ends up unloading the smithy's inventory inside the Argentavis and moving the smithy inside the base. After he unloads all the material out of the inventory into the smithy, he decides to get some wood. As he's farming, he decides to start getting some oil. And then he sees a bunch of them, but they all fly away. Using all the wood that he's been farming, he fills up his forges. Clark then begins to make some cementing paste. He then places a new fireplace down inside the hut since the old one got destroyed. At this point, Clark is wanting to build more stuff so he can move. So he goes out and farms up a bunch of fiber. After farming for a while, he then starts to build some more foundations. He then begins to start building the walls as well. He also builds the door. And that is going to bring us to the end of day 12. Beginning of day 13, Clark still needs to gather up a bunch of wood so he can continue to build an adobe hut so he can move locations. While he is gathering wood, he is also collecting up oil, that way eventually he can build himself a fabricator. While Clark was playing Lumberjack Simulator, he decided to stop for a second and check this yellow drop. He builds the last pieces of the hut by finishing the ceilings. After he loaded up the Argentavis with a lot of the stuff from the old base, he flies to the new location. He wants to build in this location because it's on a ledge, so it's going to be easier to wall off and protect anything if it's dangerous. He puts the foundations down, starts to build the walls. While building, the Titan decides to walk right inside the house. Instead of trying to carry everything, he lands the Argentavis inside the base so he can unload it easier into the smithy. Back at the old base, he starts to grab all the other materials in order to start transferring it all in one spot. After a very, very long and slow process, he finally gets the Argentavis filled back up and heading back towards the new base location. At the new base location, he starts to unload everything and set everything up. While he was unloading into the new base, he decided he wanted to go check out this red drop. Clark tries to open up this crate, but he can't. Level 70 or higher? What level am I? I'm level 69. Giggity. He's back at base and begins unloading again. Back at the old base, he then is able to finish grabbing everything he needs because, well, it's all about gone now. And with that, he grabs his Ankylo, heads to the new base location, and that's all he needs. After unloading everything, which takes forever, he begins to build some cementing paste. And with all that, he then builds his first fabricator. He tries placing it in the base, but the base is just a little too small. Clark ends up placing it on top of the ceiling. Clark replaces the ceiling with a hatch frame. He is still able to access the fabricator from now underneath. Clark places his third mortar pestle, and that will lead us into the end of day 13. In the beginning of day 14, Clark builds his first rifle. He begins to build some gunpowder. He loaded up the fabricator with some gasoline and silica pearl metal to build some electronics. After all the electronics were built, he went ahead and built an oil pump. He began building more electronics. Clark, becoming a real American, starts building all of his bullets. He goes outside and starts chopping down some more trees. After he was farming for a while, he built 4 foundations. Okay. He also starts building up a bunch of walls. Clark begins building a bunch more arrows. He turns all of them into trank arrows. Oh yeah, and the screen shaking? Well, that's the Titan. Clark spots a kangaroo that has a baby, so he does something kind of bad. After Clark took out the parent, he found the baby, and he claimed it. Then we tamed ourselves a little kangaroo. He decided to stop at the old base so he can grab the raptors as well. After walking them all back to base, Clark decides to check the kangaroo to see if he has any food. And he doesn't, so he gets to pick berries. As he is trying to search for the saddle for the kangaroo, Ark decided to do Ark things. The game froze on us, and so we had to do a hard reset on the entire system. After Clark time traveled back, he realized he needed to do a lot again, including farming and finding everything he found last time. So after Clark farmed up everything he did last time, including bullets, electronics, oil pump, all of it, he found the same kangaroo again. And he did the same thing again. And he also reclaimed the baby. Hey, we still got him. Let's go. Okay. He does end up getting them all back to base this time as well. He uses the Ankylo to harvest some berries. He then begins collecting some flint and stone as well. He accidentally hits a parasaur. Poor bystander. After a little while, he throws the kangaroo out and decides to feed it. He begins building a bunch more spark powder because he knows he's going to need it for gunpowder now. Clark learns the kangaroo saddle or the Procropodon saddle. I don't know how to pronounce it. Clark then decides it is the time to go get some crystal. He flies up to the top one of the pillars in the middle of the map. And then he just gets to swinging. While he was up top, he couldn't help himself. He had to get some metal too. Clark still has yet to learn that there's an ability with the Ankylo where you can turn it off, where he doesn't collect stone, only metal. But he will learn in the future. And with that, he starts heading back towards base. He starts unloading all the material that he gathered. Clark had a good idea. He put the Ankylo at the window, grabbed the metal, that way all he has to do is grab and turn and put inside of the forge. From here, he just gathered some of the metal and transferred it into the other forge. He begins gathering more berries. As he was gathering berries, he also started gathering some flint. Clark is building more narcotic, starting to wonder if he has a drug addiction. While Clark was at his base, he decides to learn the industrial grill as well. And that will take Clark into the end of day 14. Beginning of day 15, Clark sets out on the Argentavis. We hit a yellow drop on our way flying around. It was nothing good. He goes out to the desert and starts farming up some polymer by killing all these mantises. While sitting here gaining stamina and cleaning his inventory, he got attacked by a mantis. Then he called for reinforcements and got attacked by another mantis. The hunting of the mantises goes on for a while, so we'll go ahead and cue the music. As Clark was flying around the desert, he found this big guy. Oh, an oasasaur. It's the first one I've ever seen. Like, with my own eyes, not on YouTube. Clark decided he was going to fly back to his base. He has plenty of polymer, and he found a yellow drop with a ring, so he decided he was going to hit it. Right as he landed, he got attacked by vultures, so he had to turn around and fight the vulture. Clark then decided he's just going to jump off the Argentavis, and he's just going to grab everything out of the drop. He got some decent stuff out of this drop. He got a gun and a lot of metal. Clark wanted to test out this new pistol, see what kind of damage it does. It did 47 per shot, and it still didn't kill the vulture. At this point in time, it was nighttime, so the silica pearls were easy to spot. Clark decided to farm up a whole bunch more of them before he got back to base. He finished off day 15 by killing a raptor with the Argentavis right next to Red Ob. At the start of day 16, he started gathering some more silica pearl. Gathered silica pearl until a whip broke, and then he flew back to base. In the process of trying to build himself a chainsaw, he needed to get some more stone. He used all the metal structures that he gathered in drops and destroyed them, that way he can gather more metal without having to go farm. After farming around the base for a while, he finally got everything he needed to build the chainsaw. Also built the grill. Clark then placed the grill in the base. Also built a preserving bin and placed it down, that way he can start storing all the meat he's about to start cooking. Clark also spent a good amount of time inside of his engrams screen, unlocking a bunch of random stuff. Just know it was nothing too crazy, just going through the levels. He also tried to put one of the metal water taps inside the well to see if it would work, but it doesn't work that way, which is kind of a bummer. This is Clark's first time using the chainsaw, and let's just say he was impressed with the amount of wood he can get. 200 wood per tree. That's insane. Clark also started to expand his base because he's going to need more room. He also started to begin to move the forges on the back wall, allowing him to have more space in the house as well. Then placing down storage boxes. In the beginning of day 17, Clark decided to hit this yellow drop, and he got some pretty good stuff. Hey, we got a Thyla saddle. That's going to be nice. And we got metal structures that we can break down for more metal and stuff like that. Air conditioner, I'm happy with that. Clark then began to hunt kangaroo. Clark then wanted to test out his chainsaw on a kangaroo, and turns out they do really, really well. Oh, heck yeah. Okay, we're done hunting. He then went back to base and ended up building himself a Procroptodon saddle, or kangaroo, whatever you call it. This is Clark's first time riding a kangaroo, so he just kind of jumps around for a while with those big old feet. Clark decided he was going to go get this drop, but then accidentally did this. He ended up going back. After checking the drop, he realized it was all crap. He was just hopping along, then this old Microraptor decided to ruin his day. So after getting munched on for a few minutes, he was able to get back on the kangaroo and jump away as fast as he could. After hopping around for a good 10 minutes, he was able to run across an oil vein. So he went ahead and hopped all the way back to base to go grab the oil well. After he made it back to base, he decided he's going to get some prime meat so he can start getting some cooked prime for a later tame. After hunting the first babies, it still wasn't enough prime meat, so he found some more babies. Now, he doesn't know if this is supposed to be this way, but he can't harvest babies with the Argentavis, so he tries using the chainsaw, and that doesn't work either. So he ends up having to use the pick instead. Still not being satisfied with the amount of prime meat he has, he found a baby parasaur next. This would give him all the prime that he wanted. Clark then starts beginning to cook all the prime inside his new shiny industrial grill. All this cooked prime is later going to be used to tame a Thyla. Day 18 began with Clark gathering all the materials he needed to go get himself a Thyla. On his way to go find himself a Thyla, first he found a yellow drop with a ring on it. So of course he had to check it. It was nothing too impressive. Since Clark was by the oil vein, he went and put down the oil well. Then began his search for a high-level Thyla. The first Thyla that he found was only level 30. The second Thyla that he found was only level 60. The third Thyla that he found this beauty. Ooh, 125 female Thyla? He began to build the trap in order to get this Thyla. Clark's first attempt to get the Thyla in the trap did not go as planned. His second attempt did not go as planned. He decided to put some ramps on the trap in order to maybe have it run up inside. His third attempt, he also missed, again. Yeah, future Normie here. The game audio does not match up with the video, and I didn't notice it, and I can't fix it, so hope you guys can forgive me. His fourth attempt, he decided to drop in front of the ramp and have him aggro into the trap. And this time, it worked. But not before his RG was about dead. Dang, my RG took a beating. Then began the taming process. As time goes by, the Thyla finally goes to sleep. There she goes! Big baby girl's down. Since Thylas eat so much narcotic, he went ahead and put narcotic inside the inventory. Clark also knew he wanted to put a tracker on this too. He knew it was a race against time, so he hurried up and jumped on the RG to fly back to base to grab all that prime meat. Well, it felt like an eternity, he finally made it back to the base. After making it back to base, he grabbed all the prime and started heading back towards the Thyla. He also built some campfires just in case if he needed to cook any more prime meat for the Thyla. Making it back to the Thyla, he put all the prime meat that he had in the inventory with some cooked meat just in case it wasn't enough. Clark then starts placing the campfires down so he can go get more prime meat. Before he left, he also force-fed a bunch of narcotics just so it doesn't wake up. He found a Titan boa. Knowing that they give prime meat, he decided to kill it. He began cooking all this prime meat. Clark put all the cooked prime inside the inventory. This should be enough to get the tame all the way through. While he was waiting for the Thyla to tame, he decided to hit the desert to see if maybe he can find some mantises. But this is going to bring us to the end of this day. In the beginning of day 19, Clark seen his first mega worm thing. However, there was 3 of them. He just wanted to see them. He flew back to the Thyla. The Thyla was tamed, so he went ahead and put the saddle on it. Clark then picked up his base that he built. He also flew by the oil well. He had 96 oil. Making it back to base, he ran through the Thyla out of the little Pokeball. Clark then took out his brand new Thyla in order to level it up. Yeah, future Normie here. If you guys like the little emote character that I have popping up on my screen, my fiance was the one who actually drew them. And if you guys are interested in getting maybe some made for your channel, be sure to go give her channel a look on YouTube, and I'll leave a link to her channel in the description down below. I also want to thank her for the hard work and all the dedication that she puts into her channel for all the artsy fartsy stuff that I'm not good at. So, and she did it for me for free. So I just definitely want to say thank you for actually caring. After Clark hunted a while, he leveled up his Thyla and headed back to the base. He began cooking all the prime meat that he ended up getting from all the hunting that he was doing. He ends up building another forge and placing it inside the base. The darn thing wouldn't fit in the corner, so he ended up putting it on an off angle. Clark then had to go do his normal chores. He begins building a ton of electronics in the process of trying to get some auto turrets built. Clark then grabs the Ankylo in order to go do a metal run, and that's going to be the end of day 19. Clark then begins his metal farming on day 20. As he was farming, there was this little guy up here on this mountaintop that he had to attack so he can get him to fall off the ledge. As he flew back to the Ankylo, he noticed that he was being attacked by a saber, so he had to kill the saber as well. As he was farming metal, then his Argentavis got attacked by another Argentavis. Clark then just picked up his Ankylo and just got out of there. Being full on metal, he went ahead and flew back towards his home. Back at base, he decided to build himself his first generator. He had the generator built, but not enough room to build it, so he extended the base, placing down the generator in the base, and now all he had to do is build some more ceilings. First, he relocated the grill. In the process of trying to build the chem bench, he needed some more silica pearls for more electronics, and so he decided to take out the kangaroo, but he had a lot of troubles trying to climb this mountain. After Clark was fighting that mountain for such a long time, he decided to go back to base. He then grabbed his Argentavis. Okay, future Normie here. I lied to you guys. I thought we needed silica pearl, but Clark actually needed, well, crystal. He had enough material to build a chem bench, but he just needed poly. Clark then headed out towards the desert with the Thyla. He then found a group of 3 mantises and took them all head on. He then killed one mantis by itself, and he wanted to test out his chainsaw. He actually gets more poly using the Thyla than he does with the chainsaw. He is scouring the desert to try to find more mantises for more poly, and that's pretty much what he does for the entire night. Start of day 21, Clark found a drop out in the desert. It was nothing too good though. On his way back to the base, he decided to kill some more mantises to try to get more organic polymer. Then these 2 mantises jumped at Clark like choreographic dancers. Making it back to his base, he unloads all the organic polymer inside the fabricator. Clark then builds his chem bench. Let's go. We already got a chem bench. That's wild. He was trying to extend his base and this happened. The game just ate my fucking foundation. Clark built a second foundation, but it won't fit in that spot. He ends up just using a ceiling. As he tried to place the chem bench, he had to move the generator over. He places the chem bench in the right corner, and Clark then replaces the generator. He also places the air conditioner that he found in a drop earlier. Clark then sets his eyes on building auto turrets, so he needs to start farming. He finally builds himself a canteen so he can hold more water with him. He moves everything out of the mortar and pestles inside the chem bench. Clark takes a Thyla to Red Ob to try to find more silica pearl. But first he had to take care of all these capros, I think is what they're called. They kept trying to jump him. Clark then begins to use his whip off the back of the Thyla to get silica pearl. As Clark was farming silica pearl, he got attacked by another capro. But luckily his Thyla jumped in and saved him. And again, while he was farming, this guy jumped across the screen and scared Clark. He swam towards Red Ob and eventually ends up killing it. But first it does grab him off the Thyla, so he starts punching away, hoping the Thyla is going to murder it. And just like that, the Thyla saved him twice in this one trip. Thanks, kitty cat. You saved me again. After farming all day and almost all night, he had plenty of silica pearls, so he starts heading back towards his base. We are going home. Clark ends day 21 at the base building more gunpowder to get ready for the auto turrets. In order for Clark to produce more charcoal for gunpowder, he builds a second forge, just simply so he can get more charcoal. Clark builds his first sniper. He also builds the scope to go to the sniper. And then he begins to build a bunch of bullets for it as well. He was running low on metal, so he went ahead and did another metal run with the Anki and the Argentavis. It was also around this point, Clark figured out how to make the auto harvest work. Turns out you had to put him on wandering, and he didn't know that. Stopping to get stamina, he thought the Anki was going to walk off the ledge.
Do not. Dude, where are you going?
As Clark was flying around and harvesting metal, he realized he was dying very slowly, so he had to go ahead and put the tent down so he can heal up. As he was trying to go in the tent to heal up, he realized his Ankylo was still on wandering and ran away, so he had to go save it. In this process, Clark was dying very slowly from the heat, so he just whistled Ankylo to follow him to lure the Pego to him. He ends up using the Argentavis to kill the Pego because it's a lot faster this way. Clark then sits in his tent for a while to heal up. As nighttime rolls in, the heat wave goes away, so he's flying around with the Ankylo and he sees some silica pearls on the ground. He decides he's going to collect them. It was at this point Clark was wondering why things were not spawning back in like they should be, and later on in the video find out that the spawns were messed up, so he had to adjust the settings. And after a whole day of flying around with the Ankylo and all night, that's going to be the end of day 22. Morning of day 23, we finally make it back to base and start unloading all the metal into the forges. Clark then takes the Ankylo out in order to get some more flint. He also takes out the Doedicurus to gather up a bunch of stone. Probably important to note that he also figured out that you can select a harvest material, and he's doing strictly stone, not sand and stone. Clark also then builds himself his first shotgun. While being stuck inside the house because of the sandstorm, he went ahead and decorated all his armor with the new, Bob's Tales armor layered thing. He also uses it to redecorate the entire base. Clark then builds his first weld so he can maybe plug the water intake into it, so he thinks. But first he had to take care of this Merlatops who was trespassing on his property. While placing the weld down, he gets attacked by something else. It was another Merlatops. The Thyla chases it down and takes care of business. Since Clark didn't trust him anymore, he decided to take out this Merlatops as well. In the process, he hit a Doedicurus, so he had to take out the Doedicurus. Clark can't figure out how the well works, but little does he know it's because the water needs time to fill up. He will sit here and mess with this well until the end of day 23. Start of day 24, Clark decides to build some stairs to his door finally, and puts the Bob's Tales layer on it. He also begins to build some shotgun ammo. So he grabs the shotgun and loads it up. He also attaches the scope that he found in a drop to it as well.
Heck yeah, look at that.
Clark took the Thyla out so he can go check the oil, but on his way he found a purple drop, so he decides to check it as well. This is what was in it. Making his way to the oil well, this is what he ends up finding.
Ooh, look at all the oil.
He also sees a yellow drop off in the distance, so he beelines it straight towards that as well. After waiting what felt like forever, this was what was in the drop.
Dang.
As Clark was out running around in the desert, he decided to kill this mantis for some organic polymer, and then he ran into this. And if you guys don't know what this is a cave for an artifact. On his way home, he found some more mantises and munched on them as well. After Clark killed this snake, it decided to fall out of the sky again, which is really odd. After running around for a long while, he found another yellow drop. Again, nothing too spectacular. Clark ended up finding a low-level wreck stuck on the wall, so he decided he was just going to munch on it in order to level up his Thyla. Finally making him back towards base, Clark then begins to unload all the oil and organic polymer. He then researches the industrial forge. He tries to place down this medium elevator platform, but it's not working and he doesn't know why just yet. He was out farming, and he finally figured out how to work the well. Clark will end day 24 looking off into the night sky, and all he was really doing all day was building up another little fob, which you guys will find out what he's going to use it for later on. Clark then renamed his raptor Salt, and renamed the other raptor Pepper. He also named the Argentavis Glacier because it reminded him of Glacier Gatorade. He named the Ankylo Spiked. Then he named the Doedicurus Dwayne the Rock. Clark then loaded up the Argentavis with the fob, some bullets, auto turrets, and flew towards Red Ob. So he flew down to the wyvern or dragon cave, crack, whatever you want to call it.
You guys don't know this, but I've never done this before.
Clark then began to build the fob with a generator so he can power all the auto turrets near it. He enclosed the entire thing with stone walls, that way it didn't get destroyed as well. With the auto turrets powered and ready to go, he shot at another dragon to try to lure it. It was a close call, but the dragon went down pretty easy. Clark also got really lucky because there's a lightning storm, which should turn the turrets off. So he sat and waited till the lightning storm was over. Clark got a little bored sitting in the tent, so he went ahead and flew down there and see if he can find any eggs, but no luck. So since this is Clark's first time, he's flying around very carefully, but he did say this.
There are a lot down there. Holy crap, dude.
Mind you, Clark is flying very carefully, but this happens.
Oh, that's an alpha. No way, bro. Oh, I'm dead. I'm so fucking dead. That guy came out of nowhere, man. Get away from me. Oh, my RG's dead. I'm cooked. I'm cooked. Oh, no. Jerbo is dead.
Clark then realized it was a 145 alpha. So Clark spawns back in, but that's going to be the end of day 25. Clark then takes a kangaroo and has to head back towards his dead body because the Thyla was in his inventory, so he has no other option. So after bouncing all night, he finally made it back to the desert, and the alpha is still around the body. So after waiting for a little bit and being very, very cautious, he goes up to the body in order to grab the bag and try to jump away as fast as possible. In the process of grabbing his stuff, he got attacked by a mantis. However, Clark was successful. He grabbed his bag, got on the kangaroo, and bounced away. Clark then decided to pick up his entire fob and move his guns, or whatever you want to call it, to a different location. He bounced all the way to the other end of the tear in the ground, whatever you want to, I don't know what you call it, but there he found a poison egg in a cave.
And it's a level 130 white.
He pulls out his Thyla because he feels safer on that than he does the kangaroo, and then he starts building another fob. After getting the fob built and all the turrets turned on, he decides to go up on the cliff with the Thyla, the attempt of potentially shooting this fire or poison wyvern. He finally got the poison wyvern to come after him. Took a little bit, but it does go down. He starts collecting the talons from the dragons because he knows he's going to need them for the boss fight. Clark sits there for a while contemplating how he's going to get down there with the Thyla and get out safely. He ends up deciding to go get the moth from base. So he starts traveling home to go grab Butterfly. So when he's back at base, he grabs Butterfly, throws him out, and he ends up riding that all the way back to the fire wyvern tavern. What do you call the damn thing? Clark does end up using the Thyla to travel all the way back because he realizes it's faster to jump on him than it is to ride the moth. After he spends some time putting more bullets in the guns, that way he knows for sure there's bullets in it, just in case when he grabs the egg if other dragons come after him. He throws out Butterfly and he jumps on the moth, and he ends up doing something that really makes his butthole pucker.
Oh shit. Yeah, I say no dragons. I see about 4 bajillion over there.
So instead of risking grabbing the egg and trying to fly away fast enough, he ends up shooting a few dragons and try to lure them towards the fob. And it's a good thing he does.
Ooh, shitballs. Fuck, he's fast.
Clark does have this to say.
My butthole puckers every time.
So Clark ends up flying straight to the egg.
It's a level 130. We gotta go.
As Clark is flying away,
Oh, my heart is gonna fall out my butt.
he ends up making it back to the fob safely. He waits a few seconds and he ends up turning them all off and go back to base. And that's going to bring Clark to the end of day 26. Clark officially names him Butterfly. After a very long flight, he finally makes it back to the base with the dragon and Butterfly. He tries to throw the egg on the ground to see if it could hatch, but it says it's too cold. Clark also tries to throw the egg in front of the AC or air conditioner. It doesn't work, it says it's too cold. Clark then builds a bunch of standing torches and places them down in a U shape to throw the egg inside of. He loads them all up with some wood. He then throws the egg down again, and it also is still too cold. Oh, now it's incubating. Clark really doesn't do much right now. He just stays by this egg to make sure it doesn't start to die because he's too excited for the dragon. Clark picks up the egg right before it hatches, that way he can go gather up some meat just so he can feed the baby. And so this poor kangaroo got it for progress. And this Morellatops. 3, 2, 1. He ends up loading all the meat inside the baby's inventory. Clark was hoping that this baby wouldn't want wyvern milk, but... Yep, it must be hand-fed wyvern milk. You're not getting any, I'm sorry. Clark then admires the dragon. Ooh, look at him. He has like a snake tongue and two. They look awesome, but I just don't like the poison wyvern. Clark was going out to hunt some more, and he made an American burp. He then does some chores. Clark the entire day just does regular chores, harvests material, makes gunpowder, gets things prepped up for the next big adventure. Clark's dragon is officially all grown up, and he wanted to let everybody know this. That's the first dragon I've ever got, legitimately, without cheating. And this will bring us into the end of day 27. Clark sees a red drop off in the distance at the nighttime, so he took his brand new dragon to go get this drop. However, Ark decided he didn't need it. Oh, what? It meshed through the ground? Aw, Ark to me. He then decided he was going to take some time to level up the dragon, and because he was kind of frustrated, so he decided to eat everything in his way. Clark also found a low-level Rex, so he decided he was going to munch on this, because he knows Rex give really good XP. He also spends quite a bit of time sitting here force-feeding his dragon to get his health up. He decides he's going to fly by the oil well to check out how much oil he has got. He also starts scouting for Rexes because he knows he's going to need a male and female for his boss army. Shooting the Rex to get his attention. Then he just starts munching. He finds another Rex, it's low level. Clark ends up finding an explorer note for the dragon.
I should explain, shouldn't I?
After flying for what felt like forever, because Clark does not know the Rex spawns yet, but he does find a level 60, but he will end up learning the Rex spawns in order to do the Rex, like, hunting ground, whatever you want to call it. This hunting of the Rexes goes on for a while. This will bring Clark into the end of day 28. In the beginning of day 29, Clark is still hunting Rexes, and again, this goes on for a while because there's not very... the Rex spawns on this map's not very good. Clark gets kind of bored hunting Rexes for as long as he was, so he decided he's going to head back towards the base, and he's going to go for a metal run. First, he builds a shovel because he's starting to get a bunch of treasure mats saved up. So using the dragon, he picks up the Anki and he tries to go find some more metal. Again, this is the point in the game where Clark starts to realize things are not spawning back in the way they should be. While he was trying to harvest some metal, he accidentally hit one of these, I don't know what these guys are called actually. They're spiky guys. But he's trying to defend himself on the Anki, but he decides to jump on the dragon to eat the Argentavis and the thorny dragon that's stuck on the wall. He attempts to pick up Spiked, but he misses. He tries to pick up Spiked again. This time, he got him. But he's starting to realize using the dragon for this metal run is a little bit harder than using an Argentavis. So at this point, he flies back towards base because the dragon is almost overweight. After unloading all of his metal, he ends up making a bunch more gunpowder. He tries to place a well next to the other well, hoping it would irrigate it, but it says not irrigated. In a last-ditch effort, he tries to put the water intake inside the well, and it still doesn't work. So he runs down to the river, but first having to take care of these raptors. And he ends up wanting to put a water intake down here. This is the beginning of a very long and painful process of building wells all the way back towards base. It was at this point Clark realized the blue bubbles had to touch. It didn't have to be in it. Oh, that's how that works. This made the process of building the wells a lot faster and easier. Clark then decides he's going to place him on the back of the dragon. And this will take Clark into the end of day 29. The start of day 30, he continues to put wells down. Clark then places the tap inside the house. This gives him running water inside the base, which is super convenient and it's going to be nice for the cooker down the road. He then starts building up a whole suit of ghillie. Clark also ends up building a full suit of metal armor. Clark is now all loaded up for his first cave run. However, first he was distracted by a yellow drop with a ring. So he had to fly back to base because that drop had a bunch of metal objects in it and he was too heavy. Then as he was going back towards the cave, he got distracted by a red drop. However, Ark did Ark things again.
No way, it went through the floor again?
Clark was getting mad about it.
Well, man, that's bogus.
As Clark was heading towards the cave run, he got distracted by some more Rexes. They were both low level, so he ends up eating them. As he flew close to the cave, he wanted to see if the dragon could fit through the top. The answer was no. So throwing the Thyla out, and putting the dragon back in the ball, placing down some sleeping bags, just in case if he dies, putting on all his ghillie, he also had this to say.
I'm a bush.
Now, just so you guys know, Clark has never actually beat the caves on this map before, so this is all a very new experience for him. He will later find out that those bats are really hard to deal with. Running down into the cave so far, he hasn't ran into anything, and then he's seen a bat. Also taking out one of those centipede looking things. Clark comes up to a crossroads, and he decides to go left. He runs into some more bats. He just jumps and bites and hopes for the best. He then pops some shots off at another centipede hidden up in the corner, but not before it destroys his armor.
Oh, come on, brother.
He then gets in a fight with a centipede and a mantis inside of a tight little corridor. He got the mega rabies for the first time. He contracts mega rabies again. And yes, Clark was underprepared. He did not bring any med brews and he didn't have any lesser antidote. So what he doesn't know is he might die. Recognizing that he's probably going to die, he runs as fast as he can back towards the entrance of the cave. That way he doesn't have to run as far on foot to get back to this Thyla. Now right at the entrance, he dies. Spawning back in on the sleeping bag that he put down, he makes his way back down to his Thyla, getting all of his old stuff, re-equipping all of his armor. He heads back down to where he was. However, that short period of him being gone, a bunch of stuff had already respawned. So he ended up fighting his way back through. At this part of the cave, he decides to go right and climb up this wall since he is using a Thyla. As he gets to the top, there's a few things for him to fight, but he's very cautious with the bats now. Even with him being cautious, he still contracts the mega rabies. Knowing that this is a very, very deadly virus, he ends up sitting. That way it can kind of run its course and you can try to heal up by eating meat. He uses the shotgun as much as he can now. Hitting a mantis to lure it. Popping another shot. He ends up getting 2 for 1. Pops a bat. And then he gets to blasting with the shotgun. Then while trying to kill the last bat, he gets mega rabies again. Then he's able to take it out. He makes a straight line towards the artifact. And then Clark grabbed his first artifact. At this point, he didn't even try to fight anything. He's just getting out as fast as he can. He got super close due to mega rabies, but he managed to make it out. As he finished the cave, this is what Clark had to say.
Yeah, I don't like bats. Bats suck.
Throwing out his dragon.
Yoink.
Putting up his Thyla. And just like that, he got his first artifact and he's flying back towards his base where you can see those big blue bubbles in the background. While Clark was flying back towards his base, he realized it's already day 31.
Guys, I fucked up. I forgot to hit record on day 31, but we didn't do a whole lot. I just kind of was chasing drops and I did some treasure chests, got some decent stuff, but I'm freezing to death. So I also looked around for some Rexes, but still no luck so far. I'm gonna go hit this yellow drop over there. I guess I could hit this blue drop.
First thing Clark did in day 32 was he stopped to hit this blue drop with a ring. It was okay. He then flew to another yellow drop.
What do we get? Ooh, some flak gloves. Nice.
He then flew to another yellow drop. It had nothing too special. At this point, Clark is just flying around the base on his new dragon, trying to find Rex spawns. That way he can maybe, get a decent level male or female. He keeps searching, but he decided he's going to stop next to this another oil vein to drop another oil well. He finds a Rex, but it's a fucking level 10, bro. He finds another Rex, but it's a low level, man, so he has to munch on it. And another one. After killing that Rex, he did get a good map. Ooh, that's a good treasure map. After killing so many and hunting for a while, he gets excited. Level 100? Okay. I might be able to live with that. This is a first triple digit. So he flies back to base in order to get the trap. Clark then starts farming up because he needs the material in order to actually build the trap itself. Clark builds the large bear trap, but I think he might be losing his mind.
They trapped that big monster.
And that's what Clark will end up doing for the rest of the day, just farming and building a trap in order to get ready for a Rex. First thing of day 33, Clark hits another red drop. He thought it was going to sink in the floor though. He did get some decent stuff out of this drop. He gets a Uranus saddle for the boss fight. At this point, Clark starts doing it's like a T-Rex run. You go up and down this river and you just eat the Rexes, because I guess it makes the respawn on this map happen over and over and over again. However, first he wants to capture this level 100, placing down the bear trap. As the Rex gets close, he's going to try to put the gate up behind it, but the Rex decides to turn and attack the dragon. He then picks up the bear trap and all the other gates in order to move it, because he can't kite the Rex in the other direction. Rebuilding the entire trap, he thought he had the Rex trapped, but after he gets done murdering things that are around him that are trying to murder him, he looks over and, yep, well, there's the Rex walking out of the trap. What? How'd you get out? He picks up the walls and moves them in a little bit closer. He gets him lured in this time. He gets bit, places the trap behind him, and this time he's got him. So he begins the knocking out process. As Clark was getting ready to go fly away to grab something for the Rex to eat because he's getting bloody, it went down. Ooh, he went to bed right whenever I was... Okay, perfect. After relogging, because all of the HUD was, gone, he had to reset it. He put all the prime that he had inside the inventory, and then began eating other Rexes that were low for 1 prime and to get new spawns. Just know, Clark went around killing every Rex that he's seen spawning that was low level until the other one was tamed up. Otherwise, I'm not going to show you the 4,000 Rexes he ended up killing. Clark did find a level 110. 110? He picks up the trap, getting ready to tame the other Rex that he just found. With the second trap built, now he's going to do the exact same thing. He's going to poke it with a trank dart and lure it right inside. This trap went a lot smoother. He began to do the exact same thing to this Rex. In the middle of us trying to tame this Rex, a group of hyenas came up, so Clark had to clear them out. And just like that, his second Rex was down. He began to clear all these trees because it was messing up his visibility, and he wanted to see if anything was bad around the tame. And that will bring us into the end of day 33. Start of day 34, Clark started munching on another Rex. Also picking up the Rex that was tamed, bringing him back to the other Rex. Clark then tried picking up the Rex with the dragon. Apparently that doesn't work anymore. He dropped off all the prime inside the other Rex, named the first Rex F breed for female breed. He then named the Jerboa Nala 2.0. After sitting around a while, he decides to pick up the trap because the Rex is about tamed. After standing around for a little while, the Rex is finally tamed. Naming this one M breed for male breed. Renaming the female melee, she had the higher melee stat, and naming the male M health because he had the higher health stat. While Clark was flying back to base in order to get some dino balls, he seen a yellow drop, so he decided to hit it. It also had a ring on it. Clark was frustrated with this one. Flippers, yes, flippers on a desert map, that's great. Making more dino balls, he then flew back to the other Rexes. Missing his first 2 throws, he finally gets it. He gets the second one as well. He then hits his purple drop. Ooh, less antidote, let's go. And a second
purple drop. While he was looking for another Rex, just in case, he finds a level 75 and decides to munch on it. He then begins eating Rexes again, trying to get a higher level. Clark ends up hunting Rexes almost all day and almost all night. However, in the distance he finds a yellow drop, so he decides to go get it. But that does bring Clark to the end of day 34. Start of day 35, this is the drop that he got. He then began to fly towards another yellow drop. This is the drop in this one. Clark then decided he was going to fly towards the treasure cache. He also hit this explorer node on the way.
As I've said,
As Clark was getting closer to the treasure, he said,
What kind of location is that, dude?
this was what was in that chest. He did end up getting a better rifle. At this point, Clark decides to take his dragon back to his base because he is proper bloody. When he gets to base, he places down a bunk bed that he got out of a drop. Clark then throws out his 2 Rexes in order to start breeding them. He builds 2 boxes to put outside. He sits waiting for the egg. And there's his first egg. He makes more gunpowder. He then uses that purple treasure map.
Treasure? What the hell? Come on, man. Fur armor?
Clark may have ADHD.
That wasn't useful in any way. At all. Zero. None. Oh, is that a red drop?
However, that red drop disappears.
Dude, I'm telling you, that was a red drop.
But then it pops back up.
No, there it is.
However, Arcus hates Clark.
Where are you going? Come back. It just went to the floor. Dude, what the fuck?
After a quick relog, hoping maybe it'll fix the drop, it still didn't work. It was still gone. He flew back to base, got some much needed water. He also starts building a bunch of electronics. Clark begins building the area that he's going to be doing all of his breeding, or hatching the eggs of the breeding. He is using the metal platforms and metal ceilings from drops because it's free material. So it does look a little bit janky now, but it looked better in the future. While placing the air conditioner down, this happened.
What?
He builds 3 air conditioners. He also builds a fridge. He places this fridge over by the Rexes that's going to be breeding, easier for the eggs. He then tests to see if the air conditioner is enough for the egg, which it is. It's incubating. He does some chores. He'll end up doing chores until the end of day 35. Start of day 36, Clark is still doing his chores. Clark then starts gathering thatch in order to get material so he can finish building this breeding area. Gathering up a bunch of fiber. He builds 6 foundations and 3 sloped ceilings. He begins building again. He builds 16 quarter walls. Then he starts placing them down as handrails. Also, side note, Clark is not known for his building, so pretty bad, but he's happy with it. He then starts redecorating all of it with the Bob's tail skins. He builds more quarter walls, and after placing them all down, he starts redecorating those as well. And it doesn't come out looking too bad, in his opinion. He's happy with it, it does what it needs to do. Learning some lamps. Building 2 lamps. Putting the Rexes on breeding. Placing one of the lamps. Placing the second lamp. He builds a Rex saddle. Also collecting his second fertilized egg. He ends up researching the industrial cooker. After farming for a while, he ends up getting all the material he needs to build the industrial cooker. He tries placing it down, but it won't fit. So he ends up building a ceiling, placing it down. He also builds some foundations too, and places them down. After gathering some stone, he builds 2 ramps as well. Realizing he just needed to rotate it, he places the cooker down. After placing everything down, he starts putting the Bob's tail skin on it. He gathers berries because he wants to start making some health brews. He also ends up changing the walls into windows, that way he can access everything from the outside. The first time he uses this thing, the autocraft kind of messes everything up. He made a bunch of dyes instead of making the med brews that he was actually wanting. So he disables the autocraft. He gathers more tinto berries and does it again, this time crafting 28 med brews. He ends up building a feeding trough, filling it full of meat. He also puts some berries in there, and that's going to bring us to the end of day 36. Alright guys, before we start into day 38, I want, nothing's respawning, like no trees, no like
plant, no metal. So I went through and I did some research. So I'm changing the player resource radius to 0.01 and the resource radius to 0.5. I also, the important one is I put resource respawn to 0.01, and I just want to see if this will work. The reason why we end up changing the settings is because it's been 38 days and even the silica pearl down by the red orb have not even respawned, let alone trees and metal nodes and everything else that we need. So Clark has been having to go farther and farther away from base in order to get material, and it's eating up too much time. So on day 37, Clark flies by all the areas that he wants things to respawn in, because you have to fly within render distance in order for the game to register that you've been there to have things respawn. The good news is things are now finally respawning like they should be. He goes back to the settings and changes the respawn time from 0.01 to 0.04, which is not as like immediate, so it makes it a little bit more balanced. Clark ends up making some more med brews. He starts throwing the eggs down so they can start hatching. While he's waiting for the eggs to hatch, he starts to go get some more narco berries so he can make more narcotic, so he can make more med brews. He makes a bunch more narcotic, and he makes a bunch more med brews. The eggs start hatching. The third egg hatched, but the game decided to eat my baby. This male ended up having the female stat on him, so he is our new breeder. As Clark was renaming the old Rex, these other guys popped up behind him. Oh, Jesus, hi. Clark unclaims the female because she's kind of not useful. Feeding the little guy some prime meat, taking the little guy on a walk. Clark ends up moving the male breeder to the other location, and he also got a reward, Rex Rider. However, this little guy wants something we don't have. Cooked prime fish? Right, we live in the desert, you fucker. Clark ends up finding the other egg in his inventory and throws it out. It immediately hatches. It gets stuck behind the air conditioners, and he doesn't want to keep this guy, so he unclaims him. He throws a new male breeder in his new permanent location. As Clark was doing boring stuff around the house, getting prepped for the next big adventure, he had some unwanted trespassers, so he took the Thyla and took care of them. He also kind of took care of the baby Rex that he unclaimed. He couldn't harvest this Rex though with the Thyla. It also would not harvest with the pickaxe. Clark having his trap, his moth, he set out in the middle of the night to go get himself a new Argentavis, but that will be the end of day 37. First thing of day 38, Clark finds a level 130 Argentavis. How about luck, guys? That's luck. He then takes out all the other Argies that are next to it, that way they don't bother him during the taming process. After killing all the other Argies, he ends up finding a place to build the trap, but he has to clear out all the rocks and stuff in the way. He then begins building the trap. He throws Moth out. He finds the RG he was looking for. He gets the aggro and leads the RG straight into the base, but man, it's so dark he can't even see. But this time everything goes as planned. He begins the drinking process. We all know this by now. And then it goes night-night. There he goes. While Clark was hunting for some prime, he did find a red drop. It's an okay drop. He ends up eating a Rex for the prime meat. He eats a second Rex for prime meat. And you guessed it, a third Rex for prime meat. He flies back towards his base to get his male breeding again. Flying back to the Argentavis, he takes all the prime that he gathered and he puts it in its inventory. He builds the Argentavis saddle. He collects another fertilized egg. He takes Spike up to the Argentavis because he plans on doing a metal run right now. Alright, we're going to take Spike, picking up his tiny little trap, equipping the Argentavis saddle, putting up his dragon. He hops on the Argentavis, picks up Spike, and gets to work with his metal addiction. After getting a decent amount of metal farmed up, he flew right back to base. He ends up finding something cheeky with the Enki. I can access him through the wall. He also has to get some wood for the forges now. You can also access the Argentavis through the wall. He changes the walls of the cooker to a window, that way he can access the cooker from inside. While storming aside, he learns the compound bow. He fixes all of his armor. He also has his Rex's breeding, again. He tries to harvest his dead Rex, still not working though. In a last ditch effort, he tries to use a Rex to harvest this, but it does not work as well. But that is going to bring Clark to the end of day 38. Clark then collects another egg on day 39. Throwing down the eggs so they can hatch. Makes more med brews. He picks up all the standing torches. Claims another baby Rex. Claims another baby Rex. Both of these babies were males, so he's just going to put them in the boss army. Side note, he does name all the boss Rexes, Boss Rex Keeps it simple, that way he knows where to go. He doesn't claim this female because she did not have both traits that he was wanting, and then munches on it with the Rex. And then gives the baby a cuddle. He places the standing torches near the base. He then puts wood in every single one of them. The baby wants another cuddle. Rexy had a bunch of levels, so he put all 20 levels inside the health. He ended up having to give this boss baby Rex some jerky, and then the Rex wanted to go for a walk. And another walk. Clark just stayed around base, that way he can take care of this baby Rex. The imprinting then came to an end the moment it asked for superior kibble. He took the Rex out to do a meat run. After a while of hunting and getting a bunch of meat, he ends up making it back to base. When Clark got back to base, there was an egg, so he collected it. He threw the egg down in front of the air conditioners. Clark sat AFK for a minute because, in real life, his puppy was throwing up, so he had to go take care of the puppy. The Rex ends up hatching. This female Rex had the health and melee stats that he was wanting. Clark then began to move his Rexes on the other side of the base, and these are all going to be used for the boss fight. He grabs the first female breeder and puts her in a ball, because the new baby is going to be the female breeder. He gets the baby female pretty close to where she's going to be spending the rest of her life. Clark then takes a dragon because he sees a yellow drop with a ring. This is what was in it. Making a bunch more electronics, making gunpowder. He then starts gathering stone again, and then whatever that glowing stuff is, he can't use it. He hasn't bought the DLC. Clark gathers a bunch of stone in order to start making a bunch of cementing paste, because he wants to start building some more auto turrets. With that, he begins building more auto turrets. And a bunch of ammo. And even more ammo. He spends the rest of the night checking on the Rexes and making sure everything is okay. But that's going to be the end of day 39. In the morning of day 40, Clark puts the saddle on the female breeder, turns her around, that way it looks uniform. He then sets the male and the female to breed, and now the boss line commences. He fills up the feeding trough with all the meat that he got earlier. He levels up the Rex. As he's running around base doing little things, he finds another egg, picks it up, and puts it in the fridge. As Clark has jumped through the desert what felt like forever, he finally found some mantises to kill. He found a group of 3 more mantises. While Clark found an explorer note out in the desert, this happened. And so Clark got in his first fight with a mega worm, or whatever these guys are called, death worm, and he ended up winning this fight. And he continued his hunt on the mantises for more organic polymer. As he was hopping through the desert, this happened. Oh, 2 of them? No thank you, bye-bye. As Clark was jumping through the desert, he ran into 3. Why? Why is there so... Oh my gosh, 3 of them, 4 of them, dude. While Clark was hopping his way back towards his base, he accidentally found a yellow drop. It was absolutely terrible. Again. Making it back towards base, he unloads all his organic polymer. He builds his first compound bow. While he was doing things around base, he found a red drop. Please don't be sunk in the floor. This one had a bunch of stuff in it. As he got back to base, the Rex had a baby egg. Put it in the fridge. Clark seen a red drop off in the distance, so he decided he was going to try to go get it with the dragon. The drop was there, but right when he gets there, this is what happens to poor Clark. No! But arced me, it despawned right in front of me, no! He found a yellow drop coming down, he decided he's going to stop to wait for it, and that will bring Clark to the end of day 40. Start of day 41, the drop finally touches ground, and this drop had a gun in it. It's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't really help us. However, it does have this nice Thylo saddle. Clark immediately puts the better saddle on his Thyla. He then grabs the Argentavis and Spiked, and he goes to do another metal run. And after he got a decent amount of metal, he went ahead and flew back towards base. Unloading the metal and putting it in the forges, Clark then throws down the 2 more eggs that he has to get them hatched. His Rexes are breeding right now to get another egg. He ends up building another Rex saddle, putting the Rex saddle on one of the boss Rexes. The Rex gave birth to another egg, so he picks it up and throws it down by the air conditioners. He claims another baby Rex. And he claims another baby Rex. He ends up spending most of the day just kind of hatching eggs and trying to take care of these Rexes. He did end up having twins. Oh, I got twins! The 3 Rexes that were by him were all female, so they're all going to be female breeders now. Clark then puts the male as disabled breeding because he learns that if the male is off but all the females are on, all you gotta do is turn him on. That sounds weird, don't take it out of context. He then takes the dragon out so he can do a meat run, that way he can feed all these baby Rexes. He put all the meat inside the feeding trough after a very good hunt. He builds more little Pokeball things. He puts Rexy inside of one. Builds another Rex saddle. Puts the Rex saddle inside the inventory of one of the growing up males for the boss fight. It's nighttime and he decides to take the Dragonaut to a yellow drop. And this is what was in it. He decides to hit this blue drop with a ring on it. He was having some major trouble trying to get up this little cliffside. But finally he got it. He starts whistling all the Rexes to passive, so if something attacks them, they don't all run around. But, spoilers, something kinda like that happens in the future. He equips the saddle to the boss Rex, and then he moves him into his new location. That's gonna be the end of day 41 for Clark. Start of day 42, Clark starts moving the fully grown females into their new spot that they're gonna be forever, and they're gonna keep producing him eggs. He then figures out with a pillar, or like an elevator pillar, he can actually put the elevator down. And then he dismantles it. Oh, 200 metal? He ended up having like 5 of them saved up throughout all these loot boxes that he's been getting, so he puts them all down and demolishes all of them. Doing this got him over 1,000 metal. He then went back to moving the females in the spots they're going to be, but then he had attacked this guy trespassing. He got the last female put in her spot. Doing this, he has all the females set on breeding, and he put the male on breeding, and now he has 4 eggs coming his way. He picks up 1 egg, picks up 2 eggs, picks up 3 eggs, and picks up 4 eggs. He starts gathering some wood. He builds a feeding trough. He builds another feeding trough. He places a feeding trough over by the Rexes. He places the other feeding trough as well. He puts some meat in one of the feeding, and then puts the other amount of meat inside the other feeding troughs. 1 feeding trough by the breeders, 1 feeding trough by the bosses. Clark begins to put all of his ghillie back on. He grabs an extra set of armor, and he loads up the little Jerboa with all his good stuff. He grabs some Membrews. He also grabs himself a lesser antidote. He throws down all the Rex eggs in front of the AC units. He tried jumping up top to get his RG, but he can't reach it. So he builds a ladder. He places the ladder down. He gets all the eggs really close to hatching, and then he picks them up. Picking up another egg, he puts them in the fridge. This cycle kind of continues for quite a few days, so I'm not going to show all of it all of the time, but that way you guys understand what Clark is doing. Also going to take this second to let you guys know, so the Rexes, Clark he wants to get to 16,000 health, and then the rest of it will be dumped into melee. As he was leveling up the Rexes, he's seen a yellow drop, so he decided to go grab that, hoping maybe he can get a good gun. He decided he wasn't going to wait on it. Picking up another egg, and another egg. Throwing these down so they can get close to hatching. He picks up the one that's about to hatch, and puts it in the fridge. He goes back to that yellow drop. It just had ammo. He runs up to the eggs because they're about to hatch, and he picks them both up. He took the kangaroo out to get more Tinto berries. He also makes a bunch more narcotic, and he makes a handful more of health brews. He ends the day 42 by reorganizing some of his dinos, giving him a little bit more breathing room. Start of day 43, Clark makes some sleeping bags. He jumps on the Thyla. He's gonna go do a cave run today. However, here's the issue. He's never done this cave, so he has no idea where it's at. He doesn't know where the cave's at, but he can hear the cave sounds or the wind, so he spends quite a bit of time trying to figure out where it's even at. He tries climbing this wall, but Thylas do not climb the walls down here very well. Eventually, he does find the cave. However, something happens. The Thyla doesn't fit inside the cave hole. He even tries whistling it to make it run in, but it still doesn't work. Clark ends up setting a waypoint. He bounces his way back to base, that way he can get like a little cryopod for it. He builds a dino ball. He goes back to the cave. At the cave, he puts the Thyla in the ball, and he throws the Thyla outside of the ball. He places sleeping bags. Then he heads down into the cave. Not ever doing this cave before, he takes his time. He ends up having to fight a rock golem. This fight takes a while, but eventually we get him. Clark uses his gun as much as he can in order to lure creatures to him. Moving his way into the cave, he has to fight some spiders, which don't bother him very much. There were 2 bats in front of him. He ends up using the pistol to lure them to him, and he knows that he has to be very careful about getting mega rabies. Eventually, he takes them both down. He shoots another bat, and he just starts blasting away. And one good shot with the shotgun, it goes down. Clark gets to another doorway that he can't fit through, so he jumps off the Thyla and puts it back in a dino ball. Then he throws it back out. Clark found a red drop. It was pretty terrible. He started using the shotgun to blast another bat. Eventually, he killed the level 130. Clark, being a little nervous about this jump, went ahead and jumped. He made it. He also made the second jump. And just like that, Clark found his second artifact. Clark doesn't waste any time. He rushes right out of this cave. And just like that, he exits the little canyon thing and he starts heading back towards home. He puts the artifact in a box. He starts breeding the Rexes again. He sees a yellow drop, so he has to go check it out. It was just a bunch of meat, but he'll take all that gasoline. He researches how to make a lesser antidote. He puts all the remaining meat inside a trough. He does end up collecting more eggs. He throws all these eggs down. He will sit here and babysit these eggs, and that's going to bring him to the end of day 43. Alright, this is 45. I didn't hit record on episode 44. My bad. You didn't miss much. All I've been doing is breeding Rexes, like literally. All the females that I got that have the stats that I was wanting, I brought over here. I didn't do any like taking care of them. However, all the males have been getting, I've been putting in a line on this side, and they're all named Boss Rex. To start the day of 45, Clark went ahead and did a meat run. He transferred all the meat into a feeding trough and started eating some more creatures for more meat. Little side note, Clark did learn that the poison from the dragon does actually hurt him. During his meat run, he found another drop. It was underwhelming. Takes all of the rest of this meat and fills up this trough, and then he fills up the other trough. He starts breeding again. He hits a yellow drop. He then begins to pick up all these eggs. He places his wood turbine that he got out of a drop. He gathers some stone. Gathers some wood. He starts building some stone gateways. At this point, he's wanting to build a wall to protect his base from any unwanted intruders. He starts clearing all the rock out of the way. He learns a wood spike wall. He starts gathering a bunch of fiber because he realizes it's going to be cheaper and faster to build the wall out of spiked walls. He starts breeding the Rexes again, getting more wood, and then building a ton of spiked walls. He grabs an egg, and then puts the eggs in the fridge. He grabs the spiked walls, and that's going to be the end of day 45 for Clark. Day 46, and Clark decides to pick up his gates, and he's just going to put spiked walls down instead. Clark runs back to base, picks up an egg. As Clark was trying to figure out how he wants to build his other wall on the other side of the base, this Doedicurus decides to attack him. He jumps on his RG, picks up the Doedicurus, and flies him to a new home. He then starts building on the other wall. Clark flies back to base so he can build more spiked walls. He builds a handful of new walls. He also builds gateway doors. He flies back. He starts placing more walls. He puts the doors in place. He then changes the skins with the Bob's Tail skin pack. He builds 2 more doors, and he places these down too. Again, changing the texture with the Bob's Tails texture pack. He goes through and levels up all the boss Rexes. He grabs all the eggs. He throws them all down in front of the AC. He sits around waiting for these eggs to get ready to hatch. Picking them up before they hatch, he puts them all in the fridge. He sets out on the dragon and does a little meat run. After hunting almost all day, he grabs the meat and starts filling up the feeding troughs. He also starts collecting all the hide because he knows he's going to need a lot in order to build all these Rex saddles. He grabs all the eggs that are about to hatch, and that's going to lead him into day 47. Start of day 47, Clark then begins to throw all the eggs down. He then starts claiming all these Rexes. There are so many babies bunched up together that he couldn't even claim all of them. He had all the baby Rexes following him. Look at all of them. Claiming the last 3 baby Rexes over here in this area. As Clark was trying to get the imprinting on all these babies, something really bad happens. He's trying to whistle one by one, that way they can walk, but they're all kind of stuck on each other, which leads up to the event that I keep talking about. And right here, he fucks up. He whistled, everybody follow, and he called everybody to him. He made a mistake. Wow. Clark now has multiple issues at hand. 1, he did not name all the babies Boss Rexes. And 2, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to get full imprinting on all these Rexes now for the boss army. He starts getting them pulled out one by one the best as he can. However, it's just it's a mess. It doesn't go very well. Clark did learn a valuable lesson though. The dinos that you have set out for breeding, have them on ignore whistle commands. After a whole day of fighting all these Rexes and all the other dinos in this little spot, he starts putting them in their own dino balls. Finally, with all the Rexes put up in their dino balls, he can go through and sort everything out. Clark did have this to say after all that stuff happened. Man, that sucked. He starts throwing out the breeders one by one. Then he starts throwing out the boss army. After spending most of the day getting all the Rexes thrown back out, all the breeders set back onto breeding, it's over. He got it all done. Clark officially has all the Rexes he needs for the boss fight. He goes through and starts naming all of the Rexes that he's going to use as Boss Rex again, just in case he missed any. He ends up calling his wyvern to him. He tries getting the guy to land, and that's going to bring Clark to the end of day 47. Beginning of day 48, Clark takes the dragon out to go do another meat run to feed all those baby Rexes. While he goes out trying to get meat, he's seen this T-Rex doing a twirl. He puts the Rex in a dino ball and continues to do his meat run. Putting meat in the feeding trough, he goes back out for more food. He also puts more food in the other feeding trough. Clark then spots a red drop off in the distance and he's going to try his luck again. However, the drop was in the ground again. Oh, come on, dude. He flew back to base, picked up some more Rex eggs, starts storing them in the fridge as well. He goes through and starts leveling up all his Rexes yet again. So from this point forward, Clark is just leveling up his Rexes and he's doing the health first. That way they have time to heal up all the way for the boss fight. And all the eggs that he ends up getting from this point on, he's going to hatch and have each Rex munch on them for XP. He places a large chest next to the breeding area. This chest is simply going to be used for everything for the boss. Making more gunpowder. He starts getting all the metal and all the hide that he's going to need to build all of the Rex saddles. He builds a few right now. He also begins to build bullets for the auto turrets for a later date task. The Rex has already ate all the meat in the troughs, so he has to go do another meat run. He puts the meat inside the trough, also taking all the hide that he got and puts it in chests. Grabbing all the Rex eggs, he throws them in front of the AC units, that way they can start to hatch. He gets some wood. He starts to move one of the Rexes in place in order to start XP farming. Viewer extraction is advised. And just like that, he munched all those babies. This gave him 30 levels to put in his Rex. He grabs more Rex saddles, starts equipping them. He gets the next Rex ready for an XP farm. He sets the Rex back to breeding, and that's going to be the end of day 48. Day 49, Clark gets some wood. Clark also picks up some Rex eggs. He then takes the Ankylo out in order to get some flint, or should I say, he takes spiked out. He puts the Doedicurus on the ledge next to the cooker to grab a bunch of stone, and he puts this inside the chem bench. Crafts a bunch of spark powder, and then he crafts more gunpowder. He grabs the eggs, throws them in front of the AC unit. While he's waiting for these eggs to hatch, he goes ahead and levels up all of his sexes as well. He picks up these eggs before they hatch and puts them in the fridge. He continues to level up his Rexes. There's a sandstorm outside, so Clark is forced to sit inside of his base for the next 5 minutes. With the sandstorm being over, he grabs his Thyla, and then he grabs his dragon, and this time he's gonna go do another cave run. Clark knows this cave is over by the blue orb somewhere, but he's not 100% sure where it's at, so it's gonna be new for him as well. He does end up finding the cave. He puts the dragon inside the dino ball, and he walks down. Getting close to the entrance, he throws out his Thyla, also places down some sleeping bags. He couldn't grab the Jerboa, so he punches him. Sorry, dude. I had to punch you. He's never done this cave before, so he takes it very slow and cautious. As he runs through, he hasn't really seen a whole lot of things that might want to eat him, but he does kill this dire wolf. He does find a bat, where they all, no! He drinks a lesser antidote, eventually killing this bat. He found an explorer note, killing some scorpions along the way. He does see a bat, so he starts popping shots with the shotgun. He does see 2 bats up ahead, so he starts shooting them with the pistol. As he starts shooting a pistol, he accidentally woke up a rock elemental. This guy throws a boulder at him, so he just starts blasting. And somehow this rock elemental can climb. Whoa, he climbed up the side. Dude, chill. There are a lot of creatures down here, so Clark ends up doing a hit and run tactic because the Thylo applies bleed. And then eventually it was just him and the rock golem. Eventually this big rock guy goes down. And Mantis comes out of nowhere. Ah! He sees the artifact, but a wolf is in his way, so he shoots it with a pistol a few times, and he starts popping with the shotgun. Clark has officially got his third artifact. There is a tiger stuck in the wall, and just like every other cave, he jumps on the Thyla and beelines it right out. As he's trying to get out, he also got scared. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. He makes it to the end of the cave. He runs to a safe location and then throws his dragon out. Puts the Thyla in the Dynaball. He flies to a yellow drop, but that's going to be the end of day 49. Start of day 50, Clark hits a yellow drop. While on the dragon, he sees a red drop. He's going to try again to go get one. If it's there, I'll be extremely surprised. This one is also sank in the floor. Every time, dude. Every time. He flies back towards base, putting the artifact in the chest. He loads up the feeding trough. He starts breeding the Rexes. He tries putting the chest down next to the smithy, but later he finds out it's because of the water tap that it won't work. Oh, it's because of the water. Picking up the water tap, he then places the chest. Also placing the water tap. He starts to clean out the smithy and putting all the extras inside the other chest. He puts all his gunpowder inside the fabricator. He goes outside and picks up more eggs. Puts them in the fridge. Grabs the eggs, throws them out so they can start hatching. He looks to see what it takes to build an artifact pedestal. He builds 2 stone foundations. As he's running to the eggs, Ark crashes. No shot, bro. And this little time travel put us all the way back in the beginning when we went to that drop. So he flies to a red drop. This was what was inside. He flies back towards base. He ends up having to do everything that he has done, well, in the past. And with the power of editing, we are back to where we were. He places down a foundation, and he can't place this other one, but he thinks he knows why. So he grabs a pick and harvests the stone. And now he's able to place a foundation. He makes him pretty with Bob's Tail's skin. He munches some babies. He levels up his Rex. He gathers up some fiber so he can build more saddles. He puts a ton of hide inside the smithy. Then he grabs 18 saddles for Rexes. He grabs the RG, and he also grabs Spiked, and he's going to go for another metal run. After his metal run, he flies home. Clark then unloads the raw metal into the forges. Also, side note, the whole time we were doing this, Clark is gathering up more Rex eggs, but I'm not going to show it every single time. Clark grabs a good portion of Rex saddles out of the smithy. He also places another feeding trough, and he starts applying the saddles to all the Rexes that do not have one. Then he grabs more saddles out of the smithy, and keeps adding more saddles. He adds meat to this feeding trough. He checks to see if the Rexes have laid any eggs, and that's how he's going to end day 50. Start of day 51, Clark just grabs some eggs, puts them in the fridge, throws a batch of eggs down so they can hatch, levels up his Rexes, puts the eggs back in the fridge. Clark builds 100 advanced bullets. At this point, Clark is on his way to try to find a Yudi. Clark spends almost all day trying to find a Yudi, so he flies back to base. He builds another 100 advanced bullets. He breeds his Rexes again. Clark spends the rest of the night leveling up his Rexes, and that's how day 51 is going to end. Start of day 52, Clark picks up eggs again. He grabs a batch of eggs and throws them on the AC units. He then puts the eggs back in the fridge. Clark then sets off again to try to find a Yudi. He wasn't having any luck, so he actually had to look up on YouTube Yudi spawns, but you'll find out even then they're not showing up. After Clark flew around almost all day, he finally found his first Yudi. It was a level 25. He's a really bad level. Clark learned that a Yudi cannot fear a dragon.
Oh yeah, he did, but it's not making me run away.
He then finds another Yudi. It's only level 15.
I keep forgetting the poison kills me too.
He finds a third Yudi. It's at level 45.
45? It's bad.
As Clark kills these Yudis, he noticed that they're not spawning back in.
I was gonna say, that does sound like one. That sounds like something totally different.
He finds a level 40 Yudi. Clark literally flew all night and he did not find one more Yudi. And that's going to be the end of day 52. This is the morning of day 53 and Clark is still looking for a Yudi. While looking for a Yudi, he decided to hit this red drop. Nothing too crazy in it, electronics and a shotgun shells. At this point, Clark is getting a little desperate and he just decides to take this one, which is level 55. After clearing out all the Carnos that are protecting it, and everything else that might aggro on him, he then began to build the trap in order to get the Yudi in it. He then gets the aggro of the Yudi using the dragon, knowing that it cannot get fear roared. He leads it directly to the trap and gets him to fall right in. And then he finds out he can't get fear roared. When he got back, he found something trying to munch on his Yudi. Clark ate it. He ends up force feeding his dragon back to health. He then begins the taming process but stays far away, that way he doesn't get fear roared. And then one more good shot, she goes down. Clark decides to sit and babysit this thing. And good thing he did, because there's a scorpion hiding in the corner. He got munched. At this point, he decides to take all the prime and put it in the Yudi's inventory. He ends up killing this Argentavis for some more prime. He put this in the inventory as well. Then Clark sits here and babysits this thing until it's all the way tamed up. After the Yudi's tamed, he throws it in the Dynaball. He picks up his trap. He flies towards another red drop. This one wasn't too bad. Yes. Clark then flies back to base. He starts breeding the Rexes again. He throws the Yudi out. He spends the rest of this day just cleaning up his inventory. Start of day 54, Clark collects some eggs. He puts all of them in the fridge. He then puts the Yudi saddle on. He throws the eggs down. He then uses the Yudi to kill some baby Rexes to get XP. This gives him 24 levels and he pumps the health up to 10,000. Clark sits here and tries to learn what the buttons do for the Yudi because he's never actually owned a Yudi before. He changes the air conditioners because the dinos keep getting stuck behind them, hoping that this might work. He grabs more eggs and throws them down, and he munches on these as well. He levels up some more, and then he parks the Yudi after he's done leveling it. He then moves another Rex in position to XP farm, has the Rexes breed again, throws more eggs down, and munches on these, and then levels this Rex. He grabs another Rex to put in position for XP farming, and this is just a reoccurring pattern over and over and over again. In the process of leveling up the Rexes, he gets some wood, and he fills the forges up. He sets the Rexes back to breeding. Clark learns the advanced sniper bullet. He goes there and picks up the batch of eggs again. Clark then throws these eggs down, and that's going to be the end of day 54. Start of day 55, Clark places down a artifact pedestal, and he also places an artifact inside of it. And then he munches with the Rex to get some XP. He also has his Rex start breeding again, throws more eggs down, and this process goes on for a while. Clark then takes the Argentavis and Spiked up to the mountains in order to gather some obsidian. While he was up here, he decided to get some metal too. He gets everything back to base, unloads the metal, makes more gunpowder, sets his Rexes to breeding again. Clark builds 2 artifact pedestals. He places them down, puts the artifacts inside. Clark then dims down the lights because they're just a little bit too bright. He picks up the batch of eggs one more time. He takes a little break and takes the dragon to go pick up this yellow drop. It was nothing good, as usual. He then decides to hit this other yellow drop. And of course, right when he gets there, no! It's disappearing right when I get here. Back at base, he picks up another egg. And then he spends the rest of the night trying to figure out how many bullets he might need to go get all of these dragon talons. Start of day 56, Clark builds some advanced sniper bullets. He also grabs all the advanced bullets and the 2 auto turrets he built. There's a yellow drop near base, so he decided to stop to hit that as well. It was a saddle and a metal door. Clark then flies to the Wyvern cave. He places more turrets down. Starts adding bullets. Realizing that the generator is out of fuel, he's going to have to run back to base to get more. Back at base, he grabs fuel. Jumps back on his dragon and flies back over to the fob. When he gets back, there's a bunch of mantises nearby, so he munches on them. Adds fuel to the generator. Clark then begins his long process of hunting wyverns. This will be the end of day 56. As day 57 comes in, Clark continues his dragon hunt. At this point, Clark flies back to base to give his dragon some time to heal, get some more bullets, and drop off the talons and figure up some math on how many more we gotta get. Yeah, we need more food, more water, more bullets. Clark sits here and does some math in his head on how many talons he needs. We need a lot more lightning, 11 more fire, and 9 more poison. So we're like almost halfway. During this time, he also has his Rex breeding again for more eggs. He picks up the batch, throws them all in front of the AC unit, so you know the drill. Clark will sit there and wait for the eggs to hatch, and that's going to be the end of day 57. Day 58 starts with Clark munching on some babies. He throws down some more eggs. And even more eggs. Clark gets quite bored waiting for the eggs to hatch. He decides to army crawl everywhere for some reason. He's slowly losing his mind. And just like that, the last Rex is leveled up. He dies to hit a yellow drop with a ring. Has a bunch of stuff in it, but nothing very useful. He flies back to the Wyvern area. Clark forgot to turn the fob back on, so he has to fight this dragon the old school way, eventually being successful. He then turns on the generator. While Clark was sitting here eating a dragon egg, something happened.
Oh shit, hello.
Ooh, that's a high level. He ends up picking up the entire fob to move it down the cave area. That way you can lure more dragons at once. He's got the fob built and all the bullets put in it, and then he's going to go hunt all those dragons up top. Clark then lures 4 dragons at the same time. He's pretty happy. He got 4 for 1. And this will continue all the way into day 59. Day 59 starts with Clark still hunting dragons. He has to get these talents for the boss fight. Clark was sitting here debating on taking this egg to lure all of them, but they're eyeballing me. I'm scared to hop off. At this point, all the auto turrets are starting to get really low on bullets. Clark keeps hunting though. This will be the final poison wyvern that he needs to hunt. Clark ends up having to move the fob yet again because he killed all the dragons in the general location. He then starts putting down the turrets in a line and building the fob. After he builds the fob, he pops shots at another dragon to get him lured over. Clark turns off the generator to preserve the ammunition and the gasoline, and he goes back to base. He'll spend the rest of this day flying towards base. Clark starts day 60 by hitting a red drop when he was flying back towards his base. This one gave him a pretty good riot shield and some poly. He starts putting all the talons into the boss chest. He starts crafting more advanced bullets, makes more gunpowder, then he makes more bullets, goes out to gather more flint in order to make more spark powder in order to make more gunpowder. Putting all the flint in the chem bench, he then begins building spark powder. He begins building more gunpowder. He gathers more wood. He starts building more bullets. Having a decent amount of bullets made, he starts flying back towards the fob. As he got close to his fob, there was a dragon kind of guarding it, so he just kites it farther and farther away so he can turn it on. Making it back to the fob, he turns it on, puts all the bullets inside the turrets, and then he begins hunting. He keeps hunting, and that actually leads us into day 61. Day 61 starts with Clark shooting another dragon, marking him. A sandstorm rolled in while Clark was hunting. However, it wasn't lightning storm, so he was still able to get a kill on this wyvern. This also so happened to be the last talon that he needed. So flying back very slowly in the sandstorm, he had to stop because he ran out of stamina, so we might as well force feed and heal a little bit. Then the sandstorm passed. Clark then flew back to base. But first, you know how he is, he had to hit the drop. Nothing great, just platforms again. Dropping off the Talons, he has everything he needs. At this point, since his army is ready, he grabs some Dino Balls and he throws them all in their own respective ball. And he stuffs them in the boss chest. While Clark was sitting around base, he decides he's going to start destroying all these platforms that he's been getting. Clark jumps on the dragon and flies into the night sky, and that's going to be the end of day 61. Clark starts day 62 by hitting a yellow drop. I'll let Clark speak for himself. Dang, that dog dookie, what the... Clark then flies through the red drop, but... Oh look, it's embedded in the ground. Oh, I like this game. Clark then flies around the desert trying to find any desert drops. Clark was sitting here getting his stamina back, but got a jump scare. Ooh. Clark did end up finding a drop. It was all terrible though. It's garbage. And Clark will fly around the desert all day, all night, all the way into day 63. This is how this day starts.
Day 63. Kenzie's flying the dragon.
Kenzie is learning how to fly the dragon for the first time. She's always wanted to fly one, so the normie decides to let her fly it. She does get distracted by the pretty sky apparently. She also starts staring at the sky, but she wants to get a cool picture apparently whenever she is doing this. This is the normie showing her the photo mode. But just like that, she was bored and she stopped. I do end the day a little bit early right here. Alright, Normie here. I want to let you guys know the reason why I was AFK for I don't know how many days. I want to say like 17 days. I work a lot, so I'm not home a lot. And then when I am home, I'm making this video and the fiance wanted to spend time with me.
So it's Kenzie here. He already had his boss army ready and he already got all those, what are they called? Dragon talons or whatever. And I wanted to watch our show that we've been watching. So that's the main reason why I wanted to spend time with him. But he still got it done anyway, so it's fine. Anyway, bye.
Beginning of day 90, Clark looks to see what he needs to make absorbent substance. He also built a lot of stimulant while he was AFK. Also building some rank gauntlets. While flying over to get some tree sap, he sees the yellow drop, so he's going to stop to get it. It was bad. And he finally found the tree that has tree sap. He flies back to his base because he didn't need a whole lot anyway. Having the tree sap, he can finally build one of the absorbent substance. With Clark getting everything he needs to build the gas mask, he builds it. This is going to be used to keep him alive during the boss fight. Clark begins to paint his clothing his country's colors. Clark is now representing his country's colors. He looks American for sure. He also starts coloring the gas mask. He also does the gauntlets. And now he has his full armor for the boss fight decorated with red, white, and blue. This will bring us to the end of day 90. Start of day 99, Clark grabs all his stuff out of the Boss Rex storage box. He then starts grabbing the artifacts. Clark checks everything he has one last time before heading to the Ob. And with that, on day 99, he is flying toward the Ob to start his boss fight. Clark is at the Ob, he puts everything inside the obelisk and says, "We have everything we need." As he's getting everybody throw it out, he gets attacked by a saber. Ah! Now that he has all of his Rexes thrown out of the Dino Balls, he checked the levels on the Rexes and they have a whole lot of levels, so he goes ahead and levels them all up. He puts all the points in melee because if he does health, they won't have the health for the boss fight. Clark will continue to level up his Rexes all the way up into day 100. Start of day 100, Clark is still leveling up his Rexes. And right as Clark is getting ready to start the fight, He's gonna put the Jerboa down, and he gets attacked by a Scorpion. All the Rexes are on neutral, and it throws them all out of position. Stop! Stop! Stop it! Gosh darn it! He then has to reposition every single one of them. After getting them all repositioned, he grabbed all the stimulant. Then he puts the Jerboa inside a Dynaball. There was another Scorpion coming, so he decided to try to fly away. Clark jumps off the dragon to lure the Scorpion to him, not the Rexes. And then he uses the dragon to walk it far, far away before giving it a good munch. Checking all the settings one last time, Clark then puts on his gas mask, and then he begins the alpha boss fight, the red circle. He hops on the Yudi and starts roaring all of the Rexes in order to power them up. And with that, we are in the boss fight. Clark is nervous. He whistles the Rexes to go get that mana core, but we have to wait for it to land. Finally, he gets a good whistle on it. He keeps his Rexes powered up. The moment the mana core lands, the Rexes are after him like a kid after candy. They're giving him a good munching. The mana core ends up going back up in the air and flying around. Now the Deathworms come out, but the Rexes make quick work of him. This guy flies around forever, and he just sits up there and poisons everything. At this point, Clark's nerves are starting to calm down a little bit, and he's just keeping his Rexes powered up. The mana core lands, and they're right back on him. And look at the damage. I mean, they're just melting his health. Then that guy flies back up. Clark gets scared again. Ah! While Clark is running away, the mana core does land. Rexes are doing their job. As he's trying to power them up, another Deathworm pops up. Clark's just trying to run out of danger's way, that way he can stay alive when the Rexes can take all the damage. The mana core lands for like 2 seconds and then pops back up. Clark starts to power them up again. He then starts to pump stimulant inside the Yudi's inventory. The mana core is back on the ground and the Rexes are right back on him. They're not letting him get away. Clark tries to get in on the action. He gets smacked and he's like, okay, maybe not. The mana core flies back up, but he is really low. He's getting melted so fast. At this point, it's kind of a waiting game. While Clark is waiting for the mana core to land, he powers up the Rexes again, but he does get hit with some poison. Luckily, he has that mask on. Feeding more stimulant to the Yudi so he doesn't fall asleep. This Rex is stuck on the floor, so he's out of commission. Clark uses his pillar to protect himself. As the mana core lands, Clark runs towards him and then he goes right back up. Finally, he lands again. Clark gets in on the action and then realizes there's rock elementals, so he backs out. The mana core lands one more time. The Rexes have him cornered and they're munching on him and they're hurting him bad. Come on, boys. Eat him up. Eat him up. Come on, we're so close. Hey, we did it. Let's go. And Clark beat the mana core on alpha difficulty in the 100 days challenge, everybody. Let's go check this drop. Mind you, this was Clark's very first time. Look at all that element. Oh, that's cool. What's that? A trophy? Oh, you place it on your wall and then a mana core structure flag. Proof that you defeated the mana core. Hell yeah. And there's the mana core. Dead on the ground. And we ascend. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below if you want to see a specific map done. And that is Clark's journey on Scorched Earth. And I will see you guys on the next one.